That's. Your, I won't.
Glad you didn't close it before I came here.
Never been here, Mr.
Michelle. Karen.
I did not know, do you know the city's got theirs today?
It's the fifth Monday, so.
I think that it's a day for birthday.
Yeah.
So.
We haven't been down there before, so there,
Yeah.
have you?
Do you want, David, you want me to shut?
No, that was a joke because of all the noise,
Heard all
like, so they came
Well,
in.
seriously, it's not a joke, it is one,
But people won't come in and shut the door.
But here's the thing, so open meeting, and by law, we have to have it open.
The second. Just so doesn't.
David wants to see the hallway and the door is shut. He can't see.
That's true, very good.
Okay, it's 8 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We have enough here. Let's do the pledge.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. We're gonna go ahead and get started. We have a quorum. Everyone is present. First thing we need to do is approve the agenda for the 8 o'clock meeting.
So.
Second. Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need to go into public hearing. Need a motion to go into public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
And second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for a public hearing for the proposed property tax notice, that had gone out. This part of the meeting will open for anybody from the public who wishes to speak, on the, publication that was sent out, I guess. We did have a forum last week on Tuesday at the, Writing Center, and had about 60 people in attendance, had some good comments and questions. But we'll open it up. I will just ask that you be respectful, no personal attacks. And we can limit you to 3 minutes, but go ahead and fire away.
Guys all there.
Okay, just tell us your name and where you live at, and then we'll.
Sir. So first, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Fans. My name is Brad Weitzel, 3103 AA Avenue.
Okay.
Very west side of town, right? So this past weekend, I had the opportunity to visit or go to the 50th annual Taekwondo banquet in ISU. Where they greet everybody that serves in MAMs, so that's why I greeted you that way. And it had dawned on me while I was there, that most of you up here must have your black belts in Taekwondo as well, right? The reason I say that is because, 3-4 weeks ago, we received this first letter in the mail about the taxes, right? Right, and so I opened that letter, and as I opened that letter, it was a very swift kick to the groin, right? And
Second that.
And it caused me to fall to my knees like everybody else that gets kicked in the groin, right? You get that loss of breath, that sharp pain in your gut, and you're like, what the hell is going on, right? And as any good Taekwondo person knows, you go ahead and you hit your opponents while they're down, right? Right, so your opponent's on their knees, what do? You go for the kill shot. And the kill shot, I would say, is the assessor's letter that we just received last week, right? So we're down on our knees, trying to get our breath and go ahead and give that roundhouse kick right to the head, right? Take us out. So well done on your black belts and Taekwondo serves and mans. But I guess I heard that, taxes went up due to the EMS stuff and the school and all that. But my question, I guess, is I would hold you guys, the board, as the executive branch and the legislation branch of our government, right?
Yep.
Our local government.
Yep.
I mean, that's how I would see it. And as the executive branch, I would think that you would know what's going on with the rest of the entities in the county, right? I
Yes,
mean, so did we not know that this assessed values were gonna go the way that the assessed values were gonna go? I mean, as I stated, I built my house in 2020, right? Had the hole dug in 2020, built my house in 2021. I gave the value of what it cost to build my house, and that's what I was assessed at that time, right? Which was $271,200, right? Then the year after 2021, you go ahead and hire assessors to come around to assess everybody's places because Tama County, I guess, they were falling behind in their assessments. Had to get assessors out there. We had to get it figured out, get it all straightened out, right? So I take a $72,000 jump at that time and go to $343,000, right? Then last year, I take a jump of $81,840 up to $425,790. And now this year I get another $49,000 raised assessment for $475,380. That's 75% increase in 3 years on your assessed value. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, I understand taxes have to go up, but I think you're double dipping when you also raise the assessed value. I think it's just asinine. And if you're all, I just expect you all to sit there and say, oh, no, we don't know what the assessors are gonna do. They just do their own thing, right? Do you? Do you check in with the assessors? Do you know what they're gonna do?
Actually, the state's in charge of that. We have nothing to do with it.
So your local assessor here that sits here in your branch has nothing to do with.
The state gives him the formula. He doesn't figure the formula. We don't figure the formula.
So you just arbitrarily raise everybody's by formula. You don't actually go around and look at the house and then see if they've done anything?
It's not up to us. That's what the assessors, I think, come out to do, is see if you've done something to it, but yeah.
75% raise. So we still need to raise the taxes when there's a 75% raise on assess?
Like I said, on the assessment, you're barking up the wrong tree.
That was the answer I was gonna get.
Well, it's the truth. It's really the truth.
what answer are you expecting? I mean,
What answer was I expecting? Was would
we
look
don't
into-
have any
look into-
control over the
look
assessor.
Look into, see what we can do, and maybe we don't need to raise our taxes.
We didn't raise our
Because our
taxes.
pool of money is gonna go.
We didn't raise our taxes.
So then why does that one,
The only thing that we have control over is the levy rate. We cut $4 million without raising one levy.
so why does the one sentence in there says increased expenses to continue operating the county? That was the reason proposed tax exceeds the current proposed tax on the bottom of the form. Why does it say that?
Yeah, so that
The word
form,
increase means not increase.
that form is required by the state and they know it's not accurate.
So it's just a rubber
They
stamp.
just like guess, like it's gonna be a 10% assessed value increase and it's usually 2 to 3. So we would rather not do that because we have to send thousands of dollars for postage to send that out.
The letter was, they were thinking about raising the rural levy, but they decided not to.
Just the rural, yeah. So we did not raise taxes from our side because we understand we don't wanna, we know, we're taxpayers too and our assessment values are going up too. I mean, I'm in the same boat as you, right? So I think we need to go to the state and figure out how can we fix this, right? Cause I'm like you, I built a new house a few years ago and it just keeps going up,
I
but
think 75% is pretty asinine. I mean, it's almost,
yeah,
almost double. Next year I'll go up another 20%, so I'll be double my assessed value in 4 years. I mean, I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
The state's not leaving us in very good hands.
Well, I understand they did a rollback on the taxes.
Yeah,
I understand that.
And they're doing this, so, I mean,
But it's just,
yeah.
something's gotta be done, or what do you, I mean, anybody wanna buy my house for $410,000? So right today, right now, I mean, I don't think it's assessed at that, so obviously I called an assessor or appraiser to come give me an appraiser on my house,
Yeah.
but it's crazy, I gotta pay $400 to fight.
Like I said,
I just think it's crazy.
we really have nothing to do with it.
but we do understand and like I said, we spent hours working on our budget, the 3 funds that we control to keep it level, even though we were in a overspending, in one account by $2 million. So we are doing everything we can here, but I understand your concerns and we need to, as a whole, it's something that affects all of us. We need to talk to the state and how do we get this assessment thing under control? Yeah, so appreciate your concerns. What's that?
I said I'll be checking in to see if you're trying to talk to the state.
Oh, I also encourage you to talk with Dean, the issuer. He's our representative at the State House.
I talked to you quite a bit.
Yeah, me too. So again, he as we go down this path, we pledged full transparency, and our goal was to lower taxes, and then we found out we were in a deep, anyway,
So where's the assessor in the county get paid from?
where's the, what's saying?
The county assessor that sits here, where does their funds get paid from?
Fund from the general base.
No,
Yeah,
It's not,
He has his own.
oh yeah, that's right. He has his own levy. That's right.
From the state?
Um,
I mean, his salary is paid from the state.
no, his salary gets paid by the county, but he does his own levy rates not in his office. He's separate from the county.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and he approached us last week and he said he knows that there's gonna be a lot of questions. And he asked us to direct, if you have questions on tax levies, we can answer those.
No, why isn't the assessor in here?
Oh, the assessor.
If you knew there was gonna be a lot of questions and concern, I mean, it's a 1-2 punch, right?
Yeah, we agree. We didn't raise our levies. We actually cut taxes. We're the first board that's done that.
So am I reading this wrong then?
Probably many years. The only tax increase you're gonna see from this county, you voted for. It's the EMS levy, 75 cents per thousand evaluation.
Right, so the effective tax rate of 11.09, the current tax rate was 11.33, and the proposed tax rate of 12.23 on my sheet. I'm sure everybody else is different, right?
So that is incorrect, because that was with the increase to rural levy. But they have said that they're going to decrease that back to what it was last
Oh, I
year.
didn't hear this.
So, yep,
So
so.
there's gonna
the
be a
one-
letter, there's gonna be a new letter
Well, we
coming.
have one letter, you have this one. Which one?
I didn't know there was another meeting, sorry, I just,
Update.
they had this time and date on here, so I thought this was the only one we're having.
The levy rate did go up from last year due to the 75 cents voted in EMS levy. Otherwise, the levies that they set, they're the same as what it was
I
last
mean, obviously, we need to pay our EMS, they're a vital asset to.
That's the only tax increase that we had any
Well, that's why I was
authority.
wondering, 11.33 to 12, where you're saying it's different now, so.
And if, I don't know, South Tama's got something going too.
year. So yeah, yours.
I'm East Marshall.
Oh, you East Marshall?
Well,
Okay.
that school may raise
They
it.
didn't raise none, according to my sheet.
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't have any control.
And this was the hearing, like after we're done, we'll vote on this decreasing what we previously were going to increase slightly just before when
I'm
we,
sorry, I was still
Yep.
looking at the
no worries.
funds from the other one.
Yeah, it's,
My more concern is the assessors, that you
Yep.
say you have no control of, so I will take my battle somewhere else.
I think Karen is there a date that he does where people can contest?
There, but I have to pay $400 then.
Oh, to have it
You
contested.
can't just contest it later,
Gotcha.
so you have to
I
pay
didn't know
money.
you have to appraise it at least.
Yep.
Okay.
Just for, a little bit of context, 4 of us board members came in January 2nd.
I understand.
This is the only balanced budget we've had. We've been balanced to spend $4 million more than we brought in for the last 5 years. We've balanced and cut $4 million so that we're going to be in the green this time. We're not planning to go into the red.
But we probably Elon
With-
set a mark.
What's that? Oh, no. No, the point is, we've worked hard and I think that in context, the only thing that we could do was and the only levy we can even raise is the general supplemental and the rural levy. Everything else everything has to be paid out of the general. That's it, assigned to the general and rule for rule, and then, so we have ending fund balances in some of ours, but we even use some of that to try to transfer over and get rid of the $4 million worth. And so, of overspending anyway. So this year, this is the best budget that we've probably had for many years, and so we were pretty proud of it. To get lambasted is kind of a kick in the groin. Yes,
On my face.
we're all taxpayers. I moved into my house in 2020. I moved into my house in 2020, is assessed at $150,000. We tried to fix it up and make some improvements. It's over 330 now, like, that's double. It's probably somewhat,
Kind of crazy that you build a house in 2021 and it's gone up 70%. You did add one nail, one screw, nothing to it, and it's gone up 75%. I think that's.
their explanation to us when we met with the assessor was that they've gone around and houses around here are selling for so much in Dysart and Traer and some of the other areas that they have to we have some in Toledo that are over $300,000 that are sitting.
Yeah, it's set up for it.
And there's,
You want it?
no, they're selling.
I'll sell it right now.
You got any acres with it or any outbuilding?
Yeah.
Good.
Dirk Gomes
Ranch house.
says thank you for the Microsoft Teams meeting and good responses. Even I didn't know the state sets the appraisals.
Payroll from outside town, so I feel, I got 3 letters, cause I also own my father's house in Tama, and I'm South Tama, so we get 3 tax increases, so that's just a little bit of a big hit. What, is your initial, that you put out on Facebook about, misallocating, or we could find $14 million that we were spent. So who's doing an outside audit on that? I think we have a right to have total transparency. I wanna know how in the hell that happened. Who in the heck is doing the outside audit? I actually wanna know line by line, budget items on what happened. Cause I don't understand how a county can misallocate or misspend and oops, these $14 million.
Yeah.
That's what I wanna,
Yep, I agree.
so who's doing an outside audit? Is there anybody?
Yes, we've got a contract with an outside auditor.
Yeah, the-
Eddie Bailey.
Okay, where are they from?
I believe they're from either Dubuque or Davenport.
So how long will it take to have this all that done?
We're audited. So there was
Well, no, we're not audited appropriately if we misallocated or misspent $14 million.
Yep.
And then according to your comment, it was within 2 years?
2 years, yes.
Okay, so we're not doing, whoever is working up here is not doing their due diligence of doing appropriate auditing, figuring out where the money's going, or who took the money.
The audit last year, was done by a long-term external auditor. She notified us when we got elected into office. Gave us her report, said that it was going to be a tough year. And the former board isn't here except for Kurt. They've been telling them that for a couple of years and yet the spending levels continue.
So who's at fault for that then if they've been told for a couple of years and we kept spending?
And probably
You guys?
not them four, no. It'd be the other board, the last board.
We're just gonna keep. I understand you actually can. Another fund that's going around is do we need to pay 5 board of supervisors, maybe we go back down to 3. Then we deal with.
Well, I'll say this
And the reason
county,
we say that though is because you guys asked Tama County Public Health to cut 25% of their budget. And it's unfortunate. I'm a nurse and this county, they really serve the elderly and the under.
Our water heater died this morning, so I'm probably gonna call Marty's. See what can happen. He's like, I can replace it. I'm like, no. I was like, you're living in a hall.
United States. As Tama County, 25%.
Why is the state not coming?
What's your name?
My name is Candle.
No, his.
My name's Nate Holbert.
Okay.
Hold it.
Why is the state not been brought in to do the audit? Why have
We
we
have contact.
continued to hire a different outside auditor because of the state?
So the state does charge us also, if we were to
Right.
the state, they would charge us just as much an outside auditor that we are.
Maybe you should-
Right, but the state's more thorough, right? So I'm, Darwin's my district, and we have state come in, do the auditor, state come in, do the auditor for the cities that had the clerks that embezzled. So why did we not go with the state that I feel is a more thorough, trusted source versus an outside? Because outside clearly has failed to count. That's your guys' decision on who you hire as an auditor.
You're correct.
Yeah, the trust is broken. I mean, $14 million in 2 years is really inexcusable in a county that is already suffering the way it is. To be honest, if you didn't have Tama Pack in this area, we would So we're gonna know exactly what line item, who overspent what, I mean, that's. You know, I mean, I guess I don't understand doing grants before. If you knew that this department was overspending by $3 million, why did somebody not cut them off right then and there? Or it was missing, I mean, I don't know, and I agree. Okay, why are we not having the state come in? Why did we choose an outside entity rather than the state of Iowa?
So we do have
Auditor, the auditor came in and Beth came in and said, hey, you should be, maybe tighten your belts up, but, I personally took that like, okay, we need to tighten our belts up. Not $14 million even at that time.
Right.
We were in.
That's the problem I have. Sitting in that seat, and you're gonna sit here and tell me that you can't understand somebody's audits and numbers, you should be sitting up there. You were responsible for those numbers.
Well,
And it raise test values.
We
You
didn't.
didn't raise test values, the state says they raise test values. Okay, I get to play on words, right, Eric?
It's not playing words. We have nothing to do with that. Zero.
Right.
Zero.
You have a responsibility for the budget, which you can't manage the past few years, you can.
Yeah.
Now you're getting a redo with more money. You're saying we're gonna be in the green this year. We're gonna be in the green this year because your revenue increased. Right? That's why you're gonna be in the green?
We cut expenses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you understand anything?
Yeah, so this board, like I said, we've spent at least 40 plus in the office. We spent hours at home. We are asking those questions. We are digging in. We're looking at like the 14 million thing. We do have 14 million. We learned after that post, we do have 14 million, but there's general basic, there's general supplemental.
It's not working very good.
What is it?
It kind of comes and goes.
This from the
Today.
we were at
No, today. Is it heated?
today?
It's heated.
Oh. Oh. Probably standing room only.
Where's it gonna get it to work?
You might want to move, Nancy, we can hear you, or whoever's talking.
Who's just having fluff in their budget, who's overspending. We are looking at that fully now. And
So that we're gonna overspend their actual bottom line budget number?
No.
So if they didn't overspend their bottom line budget number, then how did we get 14 million? If you add all the budgets up, you would know that you were. Overspending.
here's my question. I think if it was fully allocated to emergency management, I don't know if it's legal, for that to be transferred to somebody else, right? And the reason I say that is because for the fire department, when I get my tax revenue money from the townships that I cover, that's designated as a, emergency response fire, right? It goes to the city that's allocated the emergency response, the city can't spend it. It has to be spent on fire protection, that's how it's taxed. So I don't know if that situation was the same or not. I'm questioning the transfer of.
The money that transferred back was money that the county had given for the allocated to operate. It wasn't any of the money that was for the towers or anything. It was money that they had allocated and they asked for it back then since they hadn't used it.
What we're doing is nine one one was. Spend all that money to that one, you know what I mean?
Well, if you wanna call sitting on like $3 million of the ending fund balance when it runs at about $1.2 million a year, having a 200% ending fund balance, that's not.
Well, it is this.
No, it's not. It means it means that they took too much tax money. That's what they.
Well, that was the board to do. Well, assumptions out of that, right? So this is your first few months now. You really have an understanding of what projects were going on, what they were budgeted.
It was for a future building project, but they never had any plans in place, so they volunteered to
That's
get
some of
back.
the comments that we've heard.
They're-
I don't know what is.
Their board didn't have any two-year in place.
Right, right. So anyway, so that's a planning and funding, that's still a failure of supervisors to understand the true activity, what's actually going on in a department. Right, now I understand you're new, some new board members there. I'm not, like, I have zero patience for you guys to get your stuff together and understand, okay? That's, you guys, you wanted to be elected, you got elected, you got the job. Now it is your responsibility to educate yourself and start doing things, and I'm telling you that looking at the option of raising taxes, because that's the easy thing to do, is not the only answer. So you started out with getting some revenue in the green, even though you got an increased revenue this year. It's a great start. Figure everything else out.
Yeah, we're definitely not done. We're gonna keep going throughout the whole year, even though most people stop and wait till January. We're gonna start in October and we're gonna keep going throughout the year because we gotta keep cutting. We can't just break even every year. We want to be able to lower it someday. And
Well, you need to understand what the tax revenue is for the county.
yeah,
Yeah. You need to understand what the things are.
and this board does that. You know, Kurt's been here with us too now. We're getting him up to speed. I would say for your question, transparency, the owl, it's on YouTube now. And we record every meeting and you can watch online. So I would say the best way to know what's going on is to call any one of us or to watch online or watch it back on YouTube. So that's our best way that you know exactly
I don't do all.
what we said and did.
That stuff. You're gonna have to figure out
Yeah.
another way to communicate.
Yeah, in the mid,
I'm not the only one, right? I bet you, I don't know how many elders are in here, no offense, but I don't know how many you go up and look at YouTube. You
Yep.
gotta figure a better way to communicate, guys. It's not. all-
Yeah, it's in the newspaper. I mean, all of our minutes are in there. Call us anytime.
I know you're a spring chick. I'm sorry if I said it.
Go, Karen.
Okay, so, there are three of us in this room, I believe, that worked on petitions 2 years ago because we live here, we knew there was some serious problems, okay? And, thank God Kurt has stayed on, because boy, I thought he was gonna quit. And we needed to carry over, and he was not on board with what was going on here, and he knew it, that one person can't do anything against a group. So we did the petitions to get 5 supervisors on. That was a huge, long process with the state, with the auditor. And the public spoke. The public said, this is a big county in size, not in population, and we need to cover it better. The public spoke and we voted in 5 supervisors, 1 carryover, 4 new ones. It was new ones. It was a battle. And, so they came on in January. There was nothing they could do before January. Nothing. They just listened to the rumors like you guys are all doing, listening to the rumors and figure out what they wanted to tackle first when they got here. The budget was shot. I mean, again, three of us knew that there was something really, really wrong, but we did not know it was that wrong, okay? So there was no way that those 5 people could have known. It was not a year ago, 6 months ago, things were not transparent in this county. Everything, if you guys remember, it was in the paper that we were told to shut up in this room. The county employees were told to shut up. We were all given gag orders or else. I don't want you guys to forget that. Because this board came on and right away opened up everything to transparency and verbalization and accountability. 4 months ago, there was none of that. We could not talk. So coming in with this board and watching these guys work hours and hours and hours, days and days and days. There wasn't budgeting a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's just very loose. Nothing, again, just like you guys said, none of us could run a household on that. We would all be bankrupt and the banks would be foreclosing on us. But that's how it was being done. So I'm really appreciative of these 5 people working so hard to bring things up to snuff, and people don't like them. And then we hear the 5 comment all the time. Can we afford 5? Well, these guys make less money than all the rest of the county, except maybe the part-timers. So I appreciate you guys all being here and giving your opinions. So thank you very much. We needed to get all this out in the open.
Okay.
So while the state sets the formulas for the assessment, the county still gets the tax money for those tax assessments, right?
Mhm. Right.
Okay, so since we know that the assessments are going up for that much, and Heather, you said it's affecting you personally, I'm sure it's affecting
Everybody,
the
yeah.
rest of you. Is there a way that we could lower the levy because we know we're getting all this extra money in from the assessments? I know you've worked really hard on the budget, but were you budgeting for the fact that we are getting all this extra assessment money? Could we lower the levy to kind of offset it for everybody?
We,
So the bump isn't that big?
okay. We budgeted for the amount that we're assessed.
And this assessed value won't be until next year. You're always a year behind with the other.
We're also capped at 2.1 revenue growth, so it doesn't matter how much assessed value is, we only are able to assess, or we're only able to obtain from that 2.1% revenue growth from year to year, from our last year's budget.
So there's nothing we could do as far as the levy side goes?
Whatever the assessment is, however much money that is extra, we can only grow our revenue by 2.1%.
So nothing with the levy that you guys can lower the levy since it says value is bringing in more taxes.
Not at this point.
Possibly next year when the new assessment kicks in, is
When-
that something you could look at then?
So there has been kind of a phenomenon that we haven't figured out. We do have the state auditor's office that's going to look into re-eval. The phenomenon is what to be $7 million over, and will only come in a couple $100,000 over budget, because people don't spend all of their budgets, and so it's returned to the general fund. This is the first year that we've planned to be in the green. We're hoping that we're going to have that same phenomenon and we can have $4 million at the end of the year. That would be our hope. We won't know that until July 1st, 2026. That's the problem with budgeting a year in advance.
And that money coming
The-
back would affect what you could possibly do next year for lowering the levy?
Yes. Yep, and the fruit of what we've done won't be seen until July 1st of 2026. We're kind of encouraged by that.
I would like, you said something, ma'am, I don't, didn't understand, yes.
Candy. Candy.
Can't. So you said that, you were talking about the public health?
Yeah.
So we decided to cut public health and I don't want to reveal sources, but I'm gonna be transparent. We told them how much to cut. They came back and told us, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, that they could cut $240,000 and not affect the services they provide or the staffing. We still held their feet to the fire. The nurses are still going out to help you. They're not being cut. The rumors that are going around are a flat out lie.
Well, it's coming from nurses.
It's a lie. My patience is kind of going away. I'm a really nice guy. And I want to talk with you too later, sir. So, because you're gonna run for office. All right. But it's a lie because we sat in a meeting, we all agreed, and then I attended a meeting later that night, and one of the nurses said they're cutting the nurses. In a meeting, in another board meeting for emergency services, the one that you guys have asked 75 cents. So please, if you've got a true question, come to us. We are being fully transparent.
I'm saying it's actually coming from staff from public health.
I understand that.
So,
I understand that. And so when I heard that, I told Mark talked to Lori and said, you need to quash this. You can't tell people lies because it gets people all stirred up. We have spent, I would say, about 1,000 hours going over the budget line by line. We've had people, the department heads come in here, some of them up to 3 times, because we told them, we need you to cut this, you need to look at this, you need to go back through your budget. The other thing we're going to do, and I wish the other gentleman was still here, we are not going to give them everything that we allot to them. We're gonna hold back 10%. And the reason behind that is we can then control it, because the way the law works, if say you're an elected official and you ask for $100,000 and I go, here's your $100,000, you then can spend it any way you want. We're going to hold back and make sure people are spending it on needful things. And if there's any extra, it's coming back.
you
So
guys
I'm sorry,
like,
I'm sorry.
the guidelines.
I can't hear you.
Any allocations of guidelines, kind of like a grant, do you tell public health, or let's say a different department, here's your money, this is how you need to spend it, or you just give them.
We can't do that by law. They're an elected official. So they come to us with their budget. We expect them to spend it on what they told us. And so when we allocate that money to them, they're expected to spend it just like they told us. If they're not doing that, that's why we're keeping 10% back. Because then we can hold that money back. Say, wait a minute, you're spending outside of what you told us. Now there are emergencies. They can come to us for emergencies and we'll deal with them one at a time. And so when we were talking about the money from 911, we requested money from them. The 911 board had to meet and approve it. Then once they approved it, we had to have another resolution to move it over to the general supplemental. And then we had about another resolution to move it to general basic so we could use it to pay our staff, our county employees. It's not easy. And I just had this conversation with my wife. I come from an operational background. If something's broke, I fix it. If I can't get it fixed, I get the right person to fix it. When you're dealing with a board, we can't talk to each other more than 2 at a time. And then I can't talk to Kurt and then go talk to Mark about the same thing. That violates the rules. So the only time we can talk about things when there's a quorum is when it's on an agenda. We post the agendas. We talk to the agendas. The information is posted. Karen types it up and it gets sent out. It's posted on our website. So we're being transparent to the other gentleman who's actually left the building, to his quote or his problem. We've got it online, it's on paper, it's on the owl. What more can we do? We held a meeting on Tuesday last week because people were complaining about this upcoming vote we're gonna make. We're late, but the vote we're gonna make here today. So we held a meeting. We had a whole bunch of people come. We were fully transparent. We got great thoughts from the public. That's what we're here for. But we're doing what we're supposed to do. I did not want this job. I did not. And I told a lot of people that. I was asked to run. I said no. Twice. I came to a meeting, told my wife, sorry, honey, I've got to run. I also prayed about it. And I said, God, if this is what you want me to do, open the doors. If not, close them. No one ran against me. I got this job. Now, I believe if you're in a job, you do your job to the best of your abilities and fulfill your requirement as the law says. I'm doing that. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, cool out a little bit because I don't like emotion. Truth and facts. That's what we work on. And this team has done a very fantastic job of doing that. Karen has been the only person here who's been at every meeting that we've held. Every meeting. So if you don't believe us, talk to Karen. Sorry, Karen. You're
Yep,
on the.
it's all right, I spoke,
All right.
and I appreciate all 5 of you guys. Thank you so much.
All right. I'm off my soapbox.
You talked about being at the wit's ends. I was just told this morning, there were 3 of you in here last Tuesday after your meeting. You admitted that old board did not overspend like you said they did. That we were okay. Right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know, oh, that's good. Because you said, three of you, Kurt and Kurt, were in here, Karen was here, and there was some other gentleman, another gentleman I talked to today. Said that you three admitted the old board had done what they needed to do. They were okay with their money.
I do not recall.
Yeah, it did not happen.
Okay, there's your transparency.
That must have been a misinterpretation of what was being said. I remember the day. We were practicing for the budget hearing.
Last Monday.
Oh, it was,
And
Any other questions?
It was a
Yeah.
budget
Three
meeting.
of you were in here. Was anybody else in here like Karen or Michelle?
Two other people were at another meeting. Other
Yeah.
cities.
Was there anybody in here taking minutes?
It wasn't a meeting.
Well, there was three together. That's
There was three together. That's a quorum. That's a meeting.
No, it's.
They weren't
not a
delivering.
meeting. It's if you're discussing and deciding.
And you know
You gotta
that,
get it
Bill.
right.
You know that.
Didn't you just say you can't talk to him and then talk to him, or have three of you together at the same time?
You can't do
You can't deliberate
You can't
and
deliberate.
make a decision.
And my understanding, you guys were showing the PowerPoint,
Yes.
correct? They were running through the PowerPoint for Tuesday, was three of them. It was on the agenda of budget. Mark and I and Karen got called out to another meeting. So they just ran through and said, hey, this is okay, we can't anything, any decisions. It was just, does the PowerPoint. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that was it.
That's my
And I
understanding.
don't know who you talked to, but they're wrong. I mean, it's obvious that we did wrong, Bill.
Okay. On our budget, we were 4 million over according to you. That $4 million was grant money coming into the county. Is over and above what we had budgeted. We budgeted for what our revenue was. Grant money was on top of what we budgeted. That was in that budget too, the $4 million. That was grant money coming in from the state and coming into Elmhurst. Is what that was for.
Ah,
Yeah, so we went line by line. I mean, all the grants, I mean, those are all,
So you believe
they're
what
in
you,
there.
one of these people, we done what we were supposed to.
Yeah, if anybody wants to see it, we can always show you the budgets. It goes line by line, revenue, expenses, you know, we look at everything.
Who do we ask to get that?
Just come sit with whoever your supervisor is, any of us, and we can sit together and start on the work. I don't know.
I mean, I get a copy of the document.
I think you could probably do a Freedom of Information Act request, right, and get a copy
is
of it. So if you want a copy of like our expenses and revenues,
Yeah,
you could
that's
just ask the auditor's office,
This is asking who we need to
Yeah.
contact to get.
auditor's office.
All right.
One of the interesting facts is, last year during this budget hearing, one person showed up. The year before that, I couldn't tell you, but I bet you it's pretty close to that number or zero. We're 2 years too late, folks.
They're gonna look at you like you're an alien, cause I did. They looked at me like, what are you doing here? And I was one person, and I don't know which year, but yes, nobody shows up.
Yeah.
Until now.
Mhm.
So I was one of those aliens.
Right,
And thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
And we're happy to share things. We're all taxpayers. It affects all of us. We all want to get to the root cause. So appreciate you guys being here and having fun.
We do recognize, we appreciate the comments about the state auditor and should be referred to the state auditor, and there's some things that can't be public. It's. Karen.
Yes, I've been here for 3 years, not as much as Karen, but for 3 years. And I totally understand when I got my tax thing too, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I appreciate what you're saying, but before they were on board, before we had these 5, you didn't talk. What happened today? That never happened, never. He would have kicked me out. He wasn't here, but I didn't kick me out.
that's right, that's.
Sitting in the back, just watching us because those old ladies, and I'm not old, I don't wanna say. You know, so there's so much, yeah, we were a mob.
We had a gag order.
So there's so much transparency now, but we're angry because our taxes are going up. I farm and I hated to look at what was happening. So what's going on is good, and really, you can talk to them at any time. And you know, I'm not that tech, but the owl, I think I can figure that out. And there, I know there's quite a few people watching, so, you know, and they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't have that. There'd be no owl. There'd be nothing like that. You had to come, but there was, you know, when I first came, there were 4 of us here. And that was it. So thank you for being transparent. Please try to lower our tax.
That'd be my goal.
Yeah, we wanted to lower till we found out the money issue.
Well, let's just push back on the state and lower some set values, because I think that's what's getting out of hand.
Right, the state's spending everything.
And to that point, we go to the meetings, and I've been to the statewide supervisor meeting, where supervisors from all the 99 counties are there. There are supervisors who are pushing back on the state, but they need to hear also from the public. So find out, Dean Fisher's one of yours, contact Dean, I don't know, I contact Dean. Okay, because he's been getting things done. Contact, Senator Sweeney. You've got to let these people know what's on your mind. And here's the biggest problem. I moved here in 17. I've been coming to church here since 2005. So I've been around for 20 years. Very few people get involved in politics. Very few. That's why I was surprised no one ran against me. I'm looking for somebody to run when I quit. He's in the back.
10 years from now.
So. But my point is, people don't get involved in politics until it starts to hurt. We don't need to wait until it hurts before we start coming in and letting our voices be heard. If you aren't heard, sometimes the actions you're looking for aren't going to be done. So we.
Done right, and as they're transparent, like you say, and we get all the information out, and this new board can turn things around in Tama County, so.
Yes.
I will be checking in more often.
Sounds good.
I gotta get to work.
Real quick, so I heard someone ask earlier why he should work here today. I was at he wasn't back.
Yep, correct.
So although he's not his dad, we kind of needed his.
Yeah, he's at the legislature today. He's at the Capitol. Yeah, they start on Monday mornings and go through about Thursday evening. So.
And we also have Derek Wolf for the North Part.
Yeah, and he's very
Make
good.
sure you contact.
I think so, actually.
And Dave Cyrus is that it.
Hey, it worked. You got a gentleman back here.
My name's Larry Kilmer. I live in Toledo Township, and I have for 22 years. And I raised, my grandkids came to see me quite often. I take them fishing at Arbor Creek. It was I think it was a proud spot for Kendall County. It was. I went to meetings there. And in what do they call it? The building. Last year, about this time, I read in the paper where the county had made all sorts of improvements in Otter Creek, and it rained a little bit last spring. So I went run out there to see how it looked. I nearly cried. And it got worse as the summer went on. It's a total disgrace. I came here today to challenge you guys to do something about that. Now it's kind of a laughable thing because you got so many more important items to worry about than little old Otter Creek, I guess. But I challenge you anyway. If you could possibly do something to make that back into something that we're proud of instead of an eyesore. Yeah. That's disgrace. My grandkids are all
Drained.
married and having kids of their own now. And
I was against reading.
I wouldn't take them there.
What's there?
We could-
Sir, and it's almost full.
It's not good for me. It's gotta come up another 40, and that comes from rain.
The logs are covered up with water.
Pretty close.
Well, that's nice, but it should be cleaned out.
Take work on this after.
I was on the board and it wasn't going to be cleaned up. It had to be filled with water and then it never rained.
And wasn't there a, I seem to remember in Mark's campaign letter to the paper, he was gonna call the state auditor or contact state auditor to audit the situation during our recontainment county. And that was about a year ago too. Did you ever call them? Did you ever
So
contact?
they
them?
already had an audit.
What?
They already had an audit.
They did?
Yep. The state auditor issued a report last October, I think.
Okay, I seem to recall reading about that, but
Yeah.
I don't remember what it said, but
Yeah.
I still can't see anything that's been done. I don't see. It wasn't even open the last time I was there.
They have their own independent board, that makes their decisions. They have their own independent board, then they have their own staff. But we have worked with him through his budget. Those are the kind of things that we can do. But we cut his budget, so I don't know that he's going to add anything.
Seems to me you got plenty of problems.
Yeah, they do have a new playground. My kids like their playground. It's right by the beach.
Year ago.
Yeah, that helps a little bit.
Had a stove on all summer.
Yeah,
Not the 4 or 5 times I went over there.
Take care.
I used to go there and meet friends to camp. And I took my grandkids swimming there and fishing there. It was a pride. People ask me, why the hell did you move to Taylor County? So point out the nice things about our county. And now I'm having a hard time finding anything.
We're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing, but we have a meeting right after that. Well, we had a meeting a half hour ago that was to start. And we have public comments during that time as well. At the beginning of the meeting and at the end of the meeting, so you're welcome to make the comments, but I'll have to take a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
The moved and seconded to go out of public hearing. All those in favor say aye. We need to have a motion to approve the proposed levy rates.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved,
second.
seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed. Motion carries.
Would that have to be like a roll call or not?
No, it's not a resolution.
Okay, thank you.
We're adjourned from the early meeting, 9:01 AM. And we will
Can we have a comfort break?
recess 5 minutes.
Definitely, if you had comments, make sure you stay. We'd like to hear more feedback if there is any, so.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item we need to do is approve the agenda. Been moved, seconded. You got it? Good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, we'll open up for public comments again.
My name is Patty Sue, Island Dryer. And I just wanted to say between the 3 tax increases on my list, the county, the North Haven schools and the city of Traer, my taxes in my little house in town are going up 56%. And I just wanted to say that I'm against this also, and it's too bad Mr. Helmer left. I was just gonna ask him a question about, him being on the board previously and some of the things that were addressed him earlier. But, we discussed my earlier topics.
Appreciate it. He had a funeral to go to, just for the record.
I noticed the tie, so I figured there was something.
He was wearing a
going on.
tie, so.
Wouldn't you think rural traders probably isn't gonna do any good to set up an appointment with the being found necessary to go over what we all got me up. So our next option would be, in my case, Northern Tama County, to talk to Derek Wolf or Dave Sayers.
Yeah,
I'd say yes.
The Tama County assessor probably can't do anything.
correct.
Okay, so it isn't even worth scheduling an appointment.
If you want to know understand how that office works and how those calculations are made, I think that it's worth your time. But ultimately, they're trying to, from what they've been told, what we've been told is they're trying to get caught up at what houses are actually selling for and what they're assessed for. Those numbers should be closer together. And I think that for years they were lagging behind, and so they're playing catch up. Yeah, agree. Was your assessed value up or was it actual tax?
On an 8-acre acreage, so the land went up, and my house went up by 50,000. And we made no improvements to the house in the last year, and we both looked at it, we thought, how can they raise the assessed value by 50,000 when we haven't made any improvements? No new siding, no new additions. What is the formula that they use to hook it up? And last year, I think we had another reassessment done, so I don't understand the formula that they're using to make such huge increases.
Yeah, they're doing property tax relief this session at the legislature. And we don't know what that's gonna look like yet. There are a lot of moving parts. We'll have to abide by whatever that is next year when we go to do our budget. But ours is pretty well set off of what it was before. 2% increase to total revenues, or 2.1%.
Patty said, we're building a new high school in North Tama. We voted that in because we needed a high school. But if any of us would have known when we voted on that bond issue that we would be in the position that we're in right now, I'm not so sure we would have afforded that high school in. I mean, it's like the right and left hand are not together. And people can only afford so much.
I would definitely go to that. I think North Tama has theirs tonight because I haven't asked North Tama, but like Traer with the city, I asked if they're raising their levy and they said, no, we can get that. Is using some random 10% arbitrary number that is not correct. So I would say definitely go to the meetings or look in the newspaper if you can't make the meetings for your schools and your cities and see, did they actually raise it or are they doing their due diligence as well to cut and try to keep it neutral or lower it? So check on that as well. I would recommend.
I don't know if this is helpful, but a year ago, there were dozens of houses for sale in Tama-Toledo area. Which that would be normal in this area. Now there's nothing. And I've had over the last year, different random men calling, wanting to know if I know of any places for sale. So if I return those calls, it goes through a channel of other people that I don't track. So there all kinds of people are getting into the housing buying industry. It's interesting to watch that happen. It's interesting to know dozens to nothing, and all these phone calls. It's cause for concern in my head. Even on the ag land, anybody that's a farmer in here is probably getting postcards from all kinds of people we never knew before. All of a sudden, everybody's in the real estate business. Unbelievable.
Anybody else wish to speak?
Yeah, I'm Tom Paul, lives out of Chelsea, and I was dealing with Kurt a little bit on break. So
is it gonna be your practice to spend grant money that might come in? Will it be our practice to spend grant money that might come in?
Do you mean
I
Forecast.
refer to what Bill said.
The forecast.
to forecast what might come in? No, we don't look at that and say, hey, we're gonna count on it. 'Cause-
But we do look at trends, like if we've
Right.
gotten it every year and we know
Oh,
it's something that's going, yeah, so like, yeah, if we don't know if it's gonna come in, but we look at the last 3 years when we're looking line by line and say, okay, it looks like we brought in 17,000, 18,000, 60. Okay, we'll probably get at least 16,000 as long as nothing's changed. And we'll ask the department heads to make sure we're understanding it right, you know?
I understand Bill to say that this was some $4 million grant that they figure out and it didn't come in. What?
I don't know what he was.
I haven't seen any grant that's $4 million. What he's talking about. I think we have some $40,000 grants, and there's several, but nothing that would come anywhere close to that, I don't think. I don't know what his comment was. That's like you say, previous. I would love to answer, but I'm not sure where that one went. Okay.
So somewhere in our budget process, I found a $1.2 million grant that did not happen. But that was, I don't know if that was 2 years ago. When we were going through, there was one grant that was part of it, but it never materialized. So I personally, if it's a grant, until the money is in the bank, I don't count them.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thanks for the work you do. Sure.
Thank you.
The largest one that I could remember was, I think, $400,000 that might have showed up from FEMA, like during the derecho that was going to pay for the county building, but I don't think that ever came in.
We're still working.
They're still working on it.
Yeah, but you don't bank on one of those.
No, we
The
didn't.
routine ones you're talking about.
Right, the routine ones, cause there was previous COVID money and, you know, like, and Karen's up to speed our auditor on, she'll be like, oh, this one's changing, this one's going away, so she guides us on that, yep. Yep,
There was money that was supposed to come in for the opioid crisis, the fentanyl crisis. And, some money went towards the new bus that the public health, has purchased. That was almost $500,000 that went for that. But I wanted to ask Bill if the 4 million he was talking about was the money that was supposed to come for the Vienna Wind project, that was supposed to come. But I think he might have left.
Yeah, the opioid money is still there.
as the ARPA funds you're referring to, I think that the RV and some of these other expenses came from the 3.2 million from, federal government during COVID that all counties got to where they could use to buy things for their
Well,
county.
maybe the 3.2 is close enough to the 4, but that's what he was referring to. And that is still in the budget.
3.2 million was given as ARPA funds, COVID money. And that money had to be allocated by December 31st of 2024.
Mhm. Yep.
And so those were $100.
So did it actually come in and actually go back out?
It did come in, and as far as we know, it all went back
Yeah,
out.
because that was before
For the
your
most part.
time.
Yeah, wish to speak.
About
Sure.
the county engineering office. Who oversees the county engineer?
We do.
I live out on U Avenue, gravel road, dead end. Over the past 2-3 weeks, county guys have been out there chopping up trees on the east side of U Avenue. I think it was 2 weeks ago, I drove by 4 separate times within 4 hours. 1 hour. They hadn't even moved. All equipment is still running and they're sitting in the farmer's entrance, just sitting there. Who oversees that they are doing what they are supposed to be doing? Because that's 4 hours of wages that they were paid. 4 hours of diesel and equipment that was running that wasn't doing anything. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what the purpose is of them going out and cutting out the trees, but yet they left the whole entire mess in the ditch.
So this isn't a caveat. I mean, and this is not to skirt your question, but this is a matter of fact. We oversee the engineer and the engineer oversees the road workers. By contract, there's a union contract. And so our engineer, oversees the employees. We oversee the engineer. The public has the ability to contact the engineer if you see something like that. Or you can contact us, then we're going to contact him. But, certainly we want to know about it. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
What was your name again?
My name's Kayla.
Caitlin?
You're our dog lady, right?
Hi,
Aren't you the lady that has the kennels?
sure.
All right, I thought I recognized you.
Yep, so Ben's here too, and we'll look into that. Yep.
Okay.
Anybody else wish to speak? Okay, if you decide to speak, we have one more opportunity at the end of this meeting. Because we are working on transparency. All right. Discuss and approve 3/24/25 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes from 3/24/25. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Ben.
Morning.
Morning.
I just sold it. Kind of the 5 year program stuff I was gonna talk about, so. I just thought all, that's one guy.
Okay.
I know. We've been on around 245th Street, we tiered, and then 250th and 260th west of Highway 63. This week we'll be rock hauling on 275th Street, west of Highway 63, and then on Q and R, west of Q2. We finished up a wooden box board. We placed with, two, core pipe on 200th Street, east of K. That was on Friday. Then this week we'll be moving to over on N Avenue, north of E29 suites. You asked me last week, typically.
Can you have a microphone? I'm sorry.
There's so much noise out.
It's horrible, the feedback noise.
No, that's all right. So where was I at? So the union asked me last week, typically I would bring this to the board. They would have, we do the 4 10-hour days, but they wanted to, before they voted on it, they wanted to see what your guys' thoughts were on it. I guess I just, doesn't have to be an action or whatnot. I guess it's more just a discussion, because obviously we have to have the, kind of create a amendment to the contract of this is when we're gonna start it and this is when we're gonna end it. And then typically previous years, the 4 10-hour days was from the first week in June into the last week in August. So, but, I guess have any thoughts or comments, I guess, regarding that, or would you want them to vote on it prior and then see if they're interested in it? I guess that's.
Who's got the question? The union has the
The
question.
union has a question about,
Doing 410s.
doing 410s. They have not voted on it, brought it to their union to vote. But they were trying, I guess, probably feel you out to see what you guys' thoughts.
And you guys.
But previous to me, they were been doing 410. It was from
first week in June to the last week in August. And what was the purpose? Just with, the sun's out, at 6 and we can get, have longer days, so, you're not. On Friday, you don't have another day of mobilization to the job, you're there an extra hour each day to. So we get Fridays off? They do get Fridays off.
Do we get the productivity out of them? And we've gotten some feedback, does 10 hours, does that help the productivity of what they get done, or do they, is there more slack time, or?
Feel like the 4 times you get a little bit more productivity because you don't have that, Friday, you don't have the mobilization of, you're less than like, you're an hour or more, so.
Do other counties do it?
Yeah, there's quite a few other counties that do. 4 times. Benton does. At the previous county I was at in Fayette did.
It's basically more of a cost saving measure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to fire up all the equipment and move it out of the works of it.
Yep.
I'd be for it. I'm for it. Okay.
I think we should look at doing it for other departments.
That was the plan. Okay. And then. Other thing. I'll let them know about that. I was just gonna update you on, construction for kind of our highway bridge program. We have a county line one on added. That's, Marshall County will be doing the inspection on that one. That'll start in April. That's in between 220 and 230, if I'm not mistaken. So there'll be two bridge projects that they'll be replacing. And then on Deponda, they're on E43, have a bridge replacement project there, which is estimated to start at the beginning of August. And then the next, the S Avenue replacement is estimated to start at the end of July. So we'll see how those go, and we'll be expecting it. So, the county fire program, and have you approve it, and then bring it back to the DOT, and have them approve it. The way the process works now, they're wanting to bring the budget and this county 5-year program to the board or to DOT prior to approval from the board. So I just wanted to let you guys know what kind of changes were made from last year. And I guess you can let me know here this week, so I can kind of get a gauge on what your guys' thoughts were. So the changes I made from last year, there was E44, there was box culvert project. We weren't able to get that design, so that was pushed back. That's just west of Oberon there. And then L Avenue grading and paving. All of those are back here. Plus the local option sales tax. With funding we had there. And then removed G Avenue culvert as it didn't qualify for the highway bridge program funds. That's due because it didn't have enough vehicles per day. And then we added 2 bridge projects to the program, one being in Columbia 19 Township, G Avenue Bridge just north of 370th Street. That's currently a 15-ton bridge. And then the other bridge is Perry, in Township Perry 34. That's PP Avenue Bridge just south of 210th Street. And it's currently a 25, 40, 40
weight limit on that bridge, so. And that's what I have. Beach, yes, going.
Will that change the tonnage that's allowed on those bridges then?
Then that'll be legal limits.
Okay.
On those bridges, so they're gonna be, and those are to be designed yet.
What about the Irving Bridge? Where you at with that?
I talked with, Dave Screen, we're looking at getting that scheduled here this spring. We're needing to bring in some dirt, a few other things that we're kind of trying to get scheduled. Once that gets going, we can get that back open, so.
Okay. And then, how about Union Grove Lake? What do you got going on up there?
We are putting in a retaining wall right now.
Does that ditch flow into the lake?
Correct.
Is it going to be a problem being those are all creosote?
So if there's anything other different than
Typically, I always dredge that and restocked it and everything and
well, we cleaned up, the culvert was plugged prior to that. So we're just trying to create a timber backhole to, hold the dirt, just be trying to create a ditch because there was never a ditch there.
can we take it off above?
Well, then we'd be starting going into person's property. That's one bit of.
It looks like you got quite a mess going on up there.
Okay.
So are they still using creosote on wood or is this old wood?
No, it's a bridge, post.
This would be like newer timber models that don't have creosote.
It don't? I say, sure, looks like creosote to me.
They quit using creosote years ago.
Well, I just wanna make sure that we're okay that
Yeah, I
flows
agree.
into that lake.
Yeah, I do big on it.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Make sure we're doing it right, so we don't get into the lake
What-
there.
So the top of the bank's sloughing off, is that the problem we're having or?
Well, we're trying to prevent it from doing that. So
Okay.
to create the ditch, we cut into the back slope. And so that's where we need to put a retaining wall.
So are you just putting a post in there and then putting like bridge
Bridge plank behind it, and then we're planning on putting a tile behind that to, some water and stuff doesn't build up.
I have a question. With the roundabout that they're putting in, are we tied to that in any way?
We are not tied to that in it.
And then I got two more things.
Okay.
Is the new sign truck up and going and all that?
Yes, correct.
Are we selling the old one or are you putting that on auction or are we doing that?
We and doing it for since it. So.
Okay, both of them?
The other one.
We just got a new truck.
Correct. I mean, we can.
I'm just asking you questions that they're gonna ask.
No, yeah, no, that's fine, that's fine. I'm not opposed to answering them. So, yeah, I mean, my thought was still a decent truck that we can work with. And it can be used for the, bridge crew and it can, for guardrail and stuff like that, we can auger holes and stuff with it.
Does our new truck have the auger on it? Cause I heard it does.
Correct, it does not. But most of the new stuff that goes in, we use a post pounder, and Telspar.
Right. You still have to auger every now and again, right?
Well, very seldom if you're trying to.
I was just curious because that's what I heard, so I was gonna ask you.
Yep.
So like.
So the second part of that was just updating us on your 5-year plan.
Yeah.
You're gonna submit that to the DOT because usually we meet, send it off and after we approve it, but they're gonna approve it and then you send it to us.
Correct.
Okay.
That's where the DOT was trying to prevent where it gets approved in the board, bring it to the DOT, then they say, oh, well, this, this, you need this, and then, or funding wise or whatnot. And then it has to come back to the board for their one to get it kind of finalized and then bring it to the board for the kind of final approval.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
I was called over the weekend and on G. 375th. They were hauling concrete, the trailer broke, it dumped in the road, they pushed it off the edge of the road, and they will be picking it up this week, she said.
Okay.
Just so you know. There's nothing on the road, there's no obstruction of driving or anything, it's off in the ditch, they'll pick it up. So. Yeah, she said the trailer broke in half or whatever, so I said, as long as you plan on cleaning it up, it'll be good.
Yes.
Anything else? That's it. Good, thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
We talked to Ben now or at the very end?
What's that?
Do we have questions now about Ben or at the very end? We have questions for Ben, is it now or at the end?
Well, you can ask him a question pretty much anytime, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah.
The major farm to market road, and you're gonna take out the whole DuPont de Blacktop and do that. So how long is that gonna last when it starts in August?
Should be, I think at the most, 3 months.
Ouch.
I'm saying that as I would hope that it gets done sooner. I'm saying they have working days and all that sort of stuff to get it accomplished. But it's, weather and all that sort of stuff that kind of plays into that time frame.
I know.
So I'm saying, I don't want to say it's gonna be done in a month and a half, and then you say, and goes to a month and a half. and
Actually, I
then
figured that'd be the answer, Ben, the rest of the fall.
you're-
So where will combines, semis and all the rest of that be rerouted to?
You're routing then the county blacktop that goes up north to the landfill in our shop up north, and then go another mile on gravel and then 270. That's where our detour will be around. So, and I know that there'll be other places that they'll go, obviously, K Avenue, south.
Yeah,
of
right past my house. Yep.
Yes. And when that does take place, we've done that in the past where we, paid for the dust control, in those areas. So obviously, if it starts in the beginning of August, then the first dust control has already happened. And then if it starts in the beginning of August, the second dust, we'd be paying for the second dust control. That's what I'm anticipating.
It's gonna be very dangerous.
Online, we have Dirk Doms, and on your 10-hour days, he was asking how about staggering, half off on Monday, half off on Fridays. So always have someone covering rather than all off on Fridays.
I know that there's some counties that do that, so I wouldn't be opposed to kind of presenting that to the union to see what their thoughts were.
Is that gonna save our mobilization money?
It would say, I guess,
Half
the
of them.
thing on Fridays, say we have emergency of something's on the road or whatever. Tree fell down or something on the road, and then we have to call
Yeah.
it. That would be overtime. So
Yeah.
obviously,
Not a bad idea.
when we'd have a situation like that, where if we kind of staggered them, then we wouldn't have.
Mhm. It's good to propose and see what they do. Thanks, Dirk, for that.
This control for the E20 or Demanda detour. You have somebody already contacted.
I think it's one of those things that people have already, done that first spray or whatnot. They've already planning on getting dust control.
reimburse you for that company was. If it's not with, you know, they didn't get dust control the first go around, then we probably figure you have 3 different companies that we kind of ask what their prices were, kind of go from that.
So if they already have something, they'll go with people they have before, and if they didn't, they'll bid it out through the companies. Okay, thank you. Alternating between Monday and Fridays, we're that, but what happens? I know there's one crew, there's a whole big one. They're not gonna be able to get much done. Because you need all 4 people there to operate, right, the excavator and different aspects of it. So that is something you might have to take department by department basis or crew by crew basis. Because you lose a lot of productivity if you split. Over that essential that you need for them.
They're talking about the bridge crew.
You know, our training.
Dr. Count, work here at Bridgewood.
What's that?
I just had a question on B18.
Okay.
Highway 8 south. So there's a bridge down there and it's washed out one time. They fixed it. It's awful rough now. Are they gonna come in and smooth that out? It's just rough. Curious.
I know it's one that I think it wouldn't hurt to put probably a bump sign, will be, I think the plan to pave that road in 2028, so I would probably pave over that bridge in this sense, but it's a pretty rough go, but there.
Or blacktop.
That's what it is, yeah, so.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right. I think we're good. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. Let's see. Need to approve the use of the courthouse lawn for the Weeding Theater.
I received information on that. It's the theater camp that's done at the meeting every year. Every year they like to use the courthouse lawn for their students to come over and have lunch on it, usually half hour to an hour. They always take a garbage can and clean up their mess afterwards. And they're looking at July 14th through the 18th and submit an application for you.
We have that. Need a motion. Moved.
I'll second it.
Seconded. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Discussion, possible action to approve appointments to committee to select, interview, and hire an IT professional was our idea to try to at least appoint a couple of supervisors to that. David has been working on the IT stuff with the IT auditors that have come in. And so are you willing to
More than one.
also serve on that? I'm not apt to do that. Are you interested in doing it or?
Yeah, I will.
Kurt?
Whatever you
If you guys
want.
wanna go ahead.
You let me know either.
Okay,
I can do it to you.
Heather. Well, I think from the IT audit team that was here.
Yep.
To do that, and I think, whoever, Paul will probably be part of that.
Mhm. Maybe
But
Karen
for-
and Kate and Carrie and who'd you say? Joe?
Joe.
Just to listen in on the sheriff's side, maybe to have
Yeah.
a couple more. We're trying to create a good, big group.
It's our go-to for a lot of the IT
Yeah.
stuff, so. If we're gonna have somebody, have him be part of it, so.
Okay. Certainly we'll, entertain those at that time. We want to definitely have
Yep.
our supervisors appointed, and then, as that group forms, we'll start interviewing and looking at the candidate applicants, so. All right.
Question, you guys have a question?
Well, I'm just wondering, do we want Michelle in on it also, or?
Whatever you guys wanna do.
So, I mean, how many people are gonna be in this
Right.
board? I mean, about 10 people are. That's my concern, is there's too many people.
It's good.
I mean, I'd be more than willing to entertain questions from people who are concerned, like the Joe with, I mean, typically when you interview people, you don't normally have more than about 4 people, doing the interview.
So maybe we should have Karen record it or something and then get with the other
Right.
officials, like,
Before we make a decision.
yeah,
And we can always go back and ask more questions. We can, if something comes up afterwards, we can request them to respond.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't want to have a board that is so, you know, like this group,
looks scary.
you know, what are you gonna do about that wire? What? So,
I'd be fine with just whoever the folks are from the IT audit that are gonna be part of the interview, if they wanted to touch base with us,
Yep.
that'd probably be the.
Yeah,
Not overly concerned,
that's
but
a good point.
just to make sure that,
yeah, we've been through your building twice,
yeah,
so.
Okay, so you're looking just, I guess I'll make a motion for David and I to be the 2 supervisors that will sit in on the interviews.
Yep.
And make a recommendation.
Good second,
Yep.
I'll second it.
thank you.
Okay,
So you can want both of us to second.
moved and seconded to appoint David and Heather. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And discussion, possible action to repeal Tama County Ordinance VI.5 wind energy conversion assessment ordinance pursuant to Iowa Code Chapter 427B.26. Heather.
Yep, so, we had brought this up, I think it was early February, and I wanted to get some more information on it. Really quick, like re-clarify what it is. So 427B.26, it's a special valuation of wind energy conversion property. So it's ultimately how you're taxed on a wind turbine. And so today, if you have an ordinance in place, which we do, from like prior to when Vienna Wind Farm went in, what it does is once your turbines are assessed, which they were assessed based on what the whole project costed back in that kind of 2012, 2013 time period, it'd be that whole amount. And then it would start at the assessed value would be there, and then it'd be 5% of the tax, 10%. It'd go up by 5% increments all the way to 30% at year 7. So what that means is, based on what it cost back in 2012, you would only pay as like a Mid-America or whoever the wind company is, you would pay up to 30% only on a wind turbine. And so in the ordinance in the Iowa Code, it says, if in the opinion of the County Board of Supervisors, continuation of the special valuation provided under this section ceases to be a benefit to the city or county, that you can repeal this ordinance. And so I guess that's what it is. I guess let's do if you guys are okay, a motion to second, and then I can get into a little bit more figures to just talk through a little more.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Okay, so the main other just discussion is like I said, the current wind project that's out there. The assessed value is 1.1 million for 20 turbines, which doesn't sound like a lot, right? If a new wind project came in, it would probably be 20 to 30 million, not 1.1 million. So that's the tricky thing, like the wind project was repowered, and they still pay the same amount of taxes. The assessed value never changes, and so it just stays that same value, and they only pay that 30%. So we're in a tough time, and we're in a budget crisis, and we've heard everybody here that we've got to lower taxes. Well, this is a way to bring in more tax revenue. It wouldn't start for any current project. It wouldn't start till year 19, so it'd be at least 8 years down the road. So there's time. I mean, it's not like a quick thing, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So.
Okay. I would, agree. After our meeting on last Tuesday night, there was a gentleman that had stayed over and said that the other half of the Vienna Wind, project that is in Marshall County is generating more revenue than what ours is. I haven't looked into that taxing structure to see what theirs is. But he said it's not what we've got going on in Tama County, so I'd have to look into that a little bit. The only, one thing I would caution the board, to change go through a public hearing. We have to have a public hearing, process to repeal any ordinance, excuse me, so that is in a county ordinance, that have to be.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Let me see if it's, yeah, I know we talked about this last time, that we thought we could just, we could still vote on it, but then we would set up a public hearing, you think?
We can,
We can do it just to make
Yep.
sure that it's the right way to do it, yeah.
yep, you could, rescind your motion and make a motion to set a public hearing to repeal the ordinance. That's my.
Yep.
You could ask Brent too, but that's.
Yeah,
how
let's
we-
do
how
that.
we've had
The only
it.
thing I'll add before you do that is just that it would go to market value and utility replacement tax is what it would go to. So it wouldn't be with the local assessor, it'd be through the state. Was it your motion?
Yes.
Let's have
So
more discussion.
I will withdraw my motion. Do we have to have a second for that, or can I just withdraw it?
You can just withdraw it.
Alright, so I'll withdraw it and then I'll redo that motion or a motion to have a public hearing on repealing Tama County Ordinance VI.5 in parentheses 6.5 close parentheses wind energy.
And I'll re-second that.
Right,
Okay, then move seconded.
you wanna set that
Date,
date?
yep.
Please.
So if I get to the paper. This Friday, which is the 4th, it'd be in on the 11th, so then we hold it 10 to 20 days after that.
So you're talking like the 20,
So like the 21st, which are already doing a public hearing that day for, but. Additional public hearing on that day, or you can do the 28th.
We can have it at the same time.
Yeah.
We can have it at the same
Same
meeting.
day.
Yeah, please.
Time.
Yep.
Yeah.
What time do you recommend? When's the other one?
The other one's at 8:45, so 9:15, just depends on how much time.
What was the,
The other one's the budget.
There's a budget and we had almost an hour for that last.
And then what time did you say was it?
It's 8:45 right now for the other one.
So put it like 9:45 then, or
We're
10?
Stay late,
Ten.
those are meetings fast.
such is good. Let's go at 9:30, if that works. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to, excuse me, set a public hearing repealing Tama County Ordinance VI 5.6.5 wind energy conversion assessment ordinance. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, motion carries. Discussion and possible action to approve liquor license for Wendigo Acres.
When I put that on there, we received notice that, this is an annual liquor license for the Bill Acres that we just, south of Chelsea is where they're located.
North of Chuck,
North of, okay, thank you.
north of 30.
They filed their permit, they filed their insurance. Looks like.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, they have a motion.
Is it for a year?
It's an amp, yeah, it's an 8-month actually.
Let's say it says 8 months.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's-
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Oops, motion carried. Discussion and possible action to accept adjusted budgets for the our budgets. We had asked public health to cut, as well as, maintenance. Then we added back in the raises, for all departments. They had chosen not to and now have asked if we would reapply the 2% raises. We don't have to republish according to what, was published to maintain those numbers. There's going to be some additional funds coming back for, one person has relocated from economic development over to the assessor's office. And so there'll be some savings there. So whatever was published would be covered. We wouldn't have to re-raise that. It'd be reallocating the budgets. They have been refigured and resubmitted, so it wouldn't be any increase as to what was already published. So that's that's what we were looking at, I guess, for the nurses and for, I guess, to move them to where all the other employees. It's been moved and seconded to, accept the adjusted budgets for Board of Health and Maintenance. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oops, motion carries. Discussion and possible action on hiring freeze, exemptions.
That's lot two, right?
Take them one at a time if we could. The mower operator from the engineer, salary at $15 an hour. Mows ditches and paved gravel roads, excuse me. Any questions on that? Or comments? Melissa. He wants to start base. So the funding sources would be FY 25 road clearing and FY 26 secondary roads. It wouldn't increase anything. I'm sorry, I thought you left.
No, I didn't. So it'd be, for a certain amount of time and then kind of take off in the summer and then they come back in the fall. So.
Just for one person or?
It'd be for three, yeah, kind of three separate, mowing kind of districts that we do.
Okay. You've got in your budget for for the rest of this fiscal year and then
Correct, and then I put to the secondary road.
for next year.
Since we're taking out the load here.
Okay. All right. Any questions for me?
I've been hire the mower operators to keep the ditches mowed down and the tall weeds, good looking nice.
Okay, then move.
I'll second that.
Second, discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oops, motion carries. Next. That's not the right one.
It looks like this.
Yeah. Okay. Public health for CEO, executive director. Preferred start date depends on applicant pool. Salary to be determined by the Board of Health. Requester is Shannon. Shannon's was leaving. Board approval. Approved it. They have their authority to do so through the Iowa code. We don't consider these. We can advise them, but we don't have any authority over how they fill those positions. And so from what I understand, Lori has been appointed as the interim and the, another person that was at that meeting was appointed as the assistant.
So this is she's got an interim appointment.
She's an interim.
Okay.
Lori's the interim and Jolyn Parker is the assistant interim. So that would be for their board to take up.
So basically, we don't have to act on this.
No.
Yeah, we just pretty much have a budget for their board. We give them the money, they decide how to run their business, so services, I guess.
Okay. Discussion and approved claims.
So the total claims, and I'm gonna read just the numbers off. 398, comma, 494, period, 67. $398,494.67. I'll make a motion to be approved.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
The numbers are high, because Ben, and I'm not throwing you under the truck, because Ben's hauling a lot of rock to take care of the gravel roads, and we're paying for the rock, and in some cases, they're carrying it over. Are quite high.
Other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We don't have your vehicle on here.
So that's what I was gonna bring up in public comment.
Okay,
I took it off. I received a lot of feedback about donating it. Mainly not because of other agencies were finding out and asking, well, how come we didn't get a kick of the can? So what I'm gonna do this week is I'm gonna try and figure out, I did talk to Brent. There's nothing that says that we can't donate it. But I would like to do some research and try and figure out some sort of mechanism that if we do want to donate, a chance to, weigh in. So hopefully Monday I'll have something that may be a little bit, in the eyes of, based on the conversations I've had, just, I guess, a little bit more fair. But this is something that we've never done before that I'm aware of, so it's kind of new to me and everybody on how that process would go with taking an old squad car or any equipment for that matter. I have said in the past, we have donated quite a bit of old LED emergency lights to a lot of the fire departments around that needed it, but this is the first time we ever had a old vehicle. Ultimately, I think it would come back to you guys to decide on whether or not, if you did want to donate it, how you wanted to go about doing that, but I think it might not be a bad idea to get some sort of mechanism placed on agencies. Because you can only do it for a nonprofit or another government department. So obviously we can't do it for anybody. It has to be for good reasons. So I would like to figure something out on how we can move forward with it. I think it's a great idea to donate it, especially to a cause that obviously assists us and mainly helps out the rest of the county. So I would like to do a little bit more research on figuring out what type of mechanism we can implement to make it easier.
Is it still a marked vehicle?
It is not marked. It's completely stripped.
All the equipment,
All equipment's out. It's completely stripped.
no cage?
No cage, no. We strip it all the way down, take the markings off. So all that's left is the vehicle and the keys. But in a situation like this, with the donated vehicle, we would probably then donate the emergency lights and all that too.
If it went
If it went to another agency, so. But I would like I said, not to beat a dead horse, figure out a better way how we can make it fair and equitable for all the agencies that may have a need. And then how we go about deciding. So,
okay,
that's kind of where we're at. It was on the agenda, but I talked to Karen, I said, take it off for now, then not ready yet to figure out how it will work.
Okay. For those of you who are wondering, we were going to take a request to donate a Dodge Durango that was a former sheriff's deputy vehicle to the Tama ambulance, so that they could not have to wait for a full So we'll be able to leave right away and then the other team would form and then they would go. And so, the intentions are really good. And I think that the services, there are other places that are doing that already. And, in the research, I guess, we asked Brent, Herron if that was allowable. And, going back and looking at past practices, what usually they would do is either trade the vehicle in or they would auction it. And he said, there's nothing in the law that says that you can't, but as soon as you do, then everybody else get hurt feelings because they aren't the ones getting the vehicle. And so that's probably why that was a past practice that way, but we want to try to figure out how we can do that and help for the public good, because we think that it is for the public good. And do that in a way that is equitable so that other departments at maybe a different time maybe they're next in line to get a vehicle. So if we could figure out a way to do that where it's equitable and fair for everybody, we certainly want to explore that.
And this, just so everybody knows, this came up because Tama EMS in their ambulance service, it sounds like their service area is getting much larger. So my understanding, anything south of Tama, all the way from county line to county line is their coverage zone. So with the ambulance, obviously it can only go so fast and getting the crew there. So the thought process behind it was they are still working on a pilot program per se on having I call it a fast attack, but a rapid response paramedic to get there on scene before the ambulance does. So that's kind of, they approached me and we were kind of talking back and forth and discussing different options, and ultimately the donating option came up. But then it was sometime last week, the phone tree must have been activated, because I got quite a few phone calls about, well, how come, this is happening and all that. So I would, like I said, and that's kind of where to preface my earlier conversation, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'd like to figure out and develop a plan on how we can do this to make it fair and equitable for all of our EMS or other agencies.
And just so you guys know, what do we normally get, $3,000 to $5,000 out of this thing?
Yeah, and
If we're lucky.
and that's what's been difficult for me, is trying to nail down what the market price would be for something like that, because you could go online and find 10 different auction sites, it'll tell you 10 different numbers, and they're all different.
Just so the public had an idea.
But usually with that type of older squad, I mean, obviously it was a police vehicle, so it was used and abused quite a bit. So that's always a concern when we do. We let that, usually we take it to a consignment auction, so that way. But we've had good luck with the auctions, but when a need like this came up, it made more sense to say, hey, if this helps everybody, I don't know why we wouldn't do it, but.
I would tell you that, having done CPR and I was waiting for a squad, this makes more sense than I think anybody else that you.
I agree.
To, because you get tired fast, and I'm not a paramedic. So I was all for it, because as you get older, you start thinking about, when I'm out in the country a little bit, whether or not somebody's gonna get me and die.
Well, that's the unfortunate part about it right now, is a lot of ambulance services are having a hard time with volunteers, and times between, a call. That gap seems to be getting wider and wider. So
yeah,
to me, it makes a lot of sense, but again, I want to make it,
fair,
a well-informed decision on how we proceed to make it the best for everything. So all that to say, I'm planning on next Monday, but it is Monday, so we'll see what the week brings.
All right.
thank you.
One thing that didn't make the agenda, we forgot to put it on here, but we can address, during public comments, our committee reports. You guys have anything to report from individual committees that you sit on?
I do, but I don't have it.
Yeah, do you wanna just put on next week, so that way we
Yeah,
can
put it on
come
next
prepared with it, cause I got a lot too, so.
Okay,
Good luck.
Put on next week's.
okay. Um. Any agenda item for the last meeting of the month. To give updates, my big one is the mental health. Mental health is migrating into the state system, starting July 1st. And the big question right now is, what's that going to look like? We're pretty skeptical as to what that's going to look like, but, the big question, when they started up these mental health regions, before that, we had individual, a county levy where we supported mental health locally and paid for it locally. All of those, funds got pooled to the region. They said you have to have at least 3 counties. That's back in, probably 2013 or 2014. So taxpayer money from our county went to that region to fund mental health. When they did that, we had to sign, what's called the 2080 agreement to pool resources between counties and to pool powers of all of the different counties to accomplish their purpose. And so when that happened, the region developed a 2080 agreement. Part of a 2080 agreement, you have to have a dissolution clause within your 2080 agreement saying, if we cease to be an organization anymore, what happens to all of the equipment, what happens to all of the property, what happens to all of the dollars. And so the region that we were part of addressed this last week, because the state is asking for all of the money to be transferred to the state that's left in there. Right now, there's about $7 million worth of cash. And by the time you liquidate all of the vehicles and that kind of stuff, there's going to be a pretty good chunk in there to be divided out by, I think, 11 or 12. I wanted to vote on it, and I had a pretty strong voice. I think that it should come back to the counties because in the 20D agreements that the state required us to have, that liquidation process looked like it would be divided up per capita by the counties. And so instead of us getting $0, we would be getting some money back. And so a couple of years ago, the mental health board voted to take away voting membership. They have been having a problem getting quorum or something. And so our right to vote was handed off to another county. Every other year, a representative from our county has a vote on that. This year, I don't have a vote on that. And so I'm not 100% that that's even legal. And so certainly we have a case if we really wanted to make it. I think that it's probably worth pursuing with the county attorney. So I'll probably do that to try to get a couple bucks back here. The more we can get back from them, the less we have to get from you. And so it might be a exercise in futility. I can't imagine that every county is just going to do it like this. There's other regions that have decided to go ahead and to move along with their transition plan of refunding the money back to the counties. So that'll continue to unfold until July 1st.
Since you spoke on that, I had an epiphany. What was that? The juveniles detention center. One of my pet peeves is when somebody goes into jail or gets put in a detention center, the federal government says their insurance stops and we pick up the whole cost of insurance.
Why?
Why don't we pay for their insurance when they become ours? So now Medicare or whoever it is covers it rather than us taking on the whole amount of money. I've already elevated that to Dean. Cheaper. But that's something I think maybe we need to put on the agenda and as a board, push forward and say, hey, we'll pay their $185 a month. It's a lot cheaper than What was that one person you read?
$5,000.
$1,500 for every pill,
Oh, no, it was 18,000 a month.
18,000 a month for his
For
pills.
Cancer.
Yeah. So, it's one of those things, if you're gonna cut off their stuff because you're saying they can't have insurance, well, let's pay the insurance fee and save a whole lot of.
So speaking on that, I'll reach out to, another fair who I know has, insurance for the jail. And they pay a premium every year, but they only pay up to, I'd have to double check it, up to 10,000 a year, and then the insurance picks up the rest.
Yeah, so
So,
we need to do what we can to save money.
so I think I'll reach out to him and get some more clarification on that, because he has, but I think it was something through ICAP that there is.
Okay. So Dean's got it from our rec side. But
I personally think that, if they have health insurance, they should be using that
Right.
while they're in the jail.
yeah, juveniles still have
I mean,
parents. They could still be on their parents' insurance plan. So I don't know why the feds did this, but it's probably to save the tax money. Sure, it's stupid, I think. My personal opinion.
That's a Medicaid rule.
Also probably reduce the jailitis.
Yes,
complaints as well.
exactly. So anyway, that came out of,
Other public comments?
I have Dirk Doms again. As a former insurance agent, from memory, he believes federal law doesn't allow someone incarcerated to have it through insurance. He believes that came out during the ACA Obamacare.
to be changed.
Sure. So several of us sitting here have been here for about 3.5 years now, and I appreciate the explanations that you guys are giving to us, the feedback, the questioning, and I know Casey loves all these public tax meetings, so we've had a couple now that you have invited the public to, and there's been a great turnout, and that's just so awesome. And so my question is, so I call Heather, or I call Mark, and then you got, because I don't wanna call all 5 of you, so then you guys, so Heather can tell the other four, or can I just call one of you?
Better just bring it up at public comments.
No, not so, no, some things I bring up, I do not want to bring up.
Just call one and
That's what I do.
call Heather.
And then I can only tell one person though, so that's why, if it's a deliberates, that's why you gotta bring it here.
Yeah, if it's for informational purposes,
Informational. Really nice, and hates
If-
conflict, so.
if it's for informational purposes, we can send out an FYI email and, blind carbon copy all of the boards, so we're not able to respond back. That's kind of the practice that we've set in place fairly quickly after we were elected.
You know, not every call requires your time back. I mean, people can just say, I don't need you to call me back, I just wanted you to know.
Yep.
Then another big concern I have is the other day, I followed a farmer. This goes back to the roads thing. He was on 63 going from north of Toledo, clear to south. And maybe a disc. Just regular old style equipment. I feel like he was in a lot of danger. I was right behind, not because I was right behind him. Behind me were 8 cars, a truck and a semi, and that was just right in Toledo. And nobody could pass him because of the stupid lanes the way they are right now. And that's just the beginning of, this is March. It's just the beginning.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to point that out, that I don't think the state did us any favors by making it so that nobody can pass anybody on that, whatever lane you want, road, highway, farm to market road, all the way clear through both of these towns. And now we're gonna put a roundabout.
This go, we're going around roundabout.
Roundabout is a drive over roundabout. I went to the meetings on that with the DOT, so that they can drive over it. It's a roundabout that would stop a vehicle, and the lips for the curves are such that they're graduated, so that you can drive up and over them with no problems. So you could bring You can bring one of those propellers for the wind turbine all the way through that, no problems.
Go ahead. Laura has a question.
That's her job.
Just saying, what's the point of a roundabout if you're gonna drive over it?
The goal of a roundabout is traffic smoothing, and also it saves fuel because typically you don't have to stop and wait for a light to change. And so having driven in Europe for several years, I don't like roundabouts every block, but there are times like where we're having one. I hate sitting there when the light is red and no one's coming. So in that case, to me, it makes sense.
I do actually have a different question. If we wanted to complain about the lanes here and in Belle Plaine, would that be the Iowa DOT or would that be like legislatures?
Department of Transportation.
Orange truck people. It's been waiting.
Yeah, Jim Smith. Nancy and I woke up and we were at home and we listened to it on the phone, telephones.
Yeah.
Telephone. Evidently, somebody, one of you, oh, shut up. Is that you, Mark?
Yeah.
Evidently, it's coming over there.
Trying to put myself on mute.
Oh, that was you guys?
Oh.
Oh.
Anyway, Nancy and I were here, the other two people that were here during that reversal meeting for the.
Yeah,
which we.
last Monday.
Morning. And, I just wanted to reiterate what Sharon said. There was nothing said against previous supervisors, no finger pointing, nothing of the sort. And I don't know where this individual that was talking about this is getting his information. He was, incorrect. And then I get to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta go. See, I'm glad I made it in.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, always standing up for you, Karen.
I covered my back.
Mute button, just remember that, Nancy.
Yeah. You talking about on the phone or me?
Jim, it's your fault always, just remember that.
So I assume it's to be touched in that ordinance meeting, but what? These for the energy.
Yeah.
The turbine itself would be on the wind company, and then I guess the property tax, I don't think that, I guess I don't wanna state for sure, but I don't think they don't pay anything on that. Yeah.
That sign truck they're talking about with county, is that the one that like has the arrows, like when people get over? Or is that just literally to carry signs?
Put signs in.
Carry signs, put up signs and get run over in an accident or something like that.
So on the tax thing for the turbines, I would like clarity on that, because Jim and I have gone down to the assessor's office and we could not get any information on whether or not the property underneath those things is taxed or who would be paying it. So maybe you could find clarification on that
Yeah.
for next week.
Yep. Yep.
Pose real quick another comment. So I know that one fellow made a comment about, post that Mark made. Have you guys thought about doing like some sort of Facebook page like for the board?
I've thought about it and I'm not on Facebook yet. I think that when you control information, we all see things differently. And so I want to communicate my message in the way that I see it. And each individual up here has a different point of view. I think that if you had one message that was coming out from the Iowa legislature on how they think, you have 100 representatives and 50 senators, and their information is directly targeted toward their folks. I am in a different district than what Heather is and the others. I feel like it would probably be, I'm not opposed to having one one filtered message to try to get out there. I like for everybody to listen to what all of us have to say because we don't agree on everything. I have a different way of getting my message across and they have theirs. And so I would say, it'd probably be difficult to all come to the same conclusion all the time, and say it the exact same way. It'd be a challenge.
Do you have any recommendation or things that you're missing or the public is that you would like to know? Like we have our auditors Facebook we could use if it's just like when meetings are, like agendas, like what would be a want?
Series of meetings I've been to. It didn't occur to you guys meet every Monday.
Yeah,
So,
yep,
so
8:30 usually every Monday.
and our agendas, if you looked at it, are much more succinct and it has what we're going to do on it. The previous, well, that was one of the reasons I ran. When I came in and I looked at it, it was like, okay, what are they gonna do? What is it about? And so, we've done an awful lot to make things as transparent as possible so that when you walk in, you know what we're talking about and what we're gonna do. Like, we're gonna have discussion and possible action. In the past, it was just approve this. Well, that's not what you do as a board. So, thanks for coming. And you can get this in, matter of fact, when Karen publishes this stuff, are you actually doing the publishing or one of your crew?
No, I've
So when this goes on the Tama County website, she also includes, for the most part, almost every documentation that we're gonna talk about. And so you can read and see what we're getting before we even decide. And that way, if you have a concern, I'm done, yes, sir.
And just to clarify that, if you get on the Tama County website, you can click and go through that and have it sent right to your email as soon as it's posted. So you don't have to physically look it up every time. You can go through there and set your, what do you want to call it? Roster, I guess, and what you want from the county.
Yep, so it auto comes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an, I use it. It's great.
Yeah. I know the website is pretty good too. It's pretty easy to navigate. Like you can, go to supervisor stuff, each department, you can just navigate very easily. So,
That's where you can find Heather's phone number.
yeah. Call me.
Took it off.
They're all officers' cards, phone numbers or emails, all that stuff, so.
Yep.
That lady that, they dropped the concrete on the road, she called me yesterday afternoon about 4 o'clock, so I mean, I got my phone on me all night, so.
Yeah, we all do.
So Mark, can I hear you clearly that you're gonna delete your Facebook account?
Already did.
It's already deactivated. What's that?
That was still.
I think your supervisor is still out there.
It's attached to my personal one, so to have a page, you have to put it underneath to your personal. So I deactivated all of it. You can see it, but you can't, I can't get on there unless I reactivate it. And,
I thought it was a great way to let people of Tama County know what was going on.
well, I appreciate that. I don't mind the heat. I mean, I honestly don't. I love it. Because it helps me grow. It helps us to understand what's on people's minds, but it's a lot of, I had at least 2 or 3 fictitious names that would go on there and comment on each other's, and I can't address that because that's not a real person. I mean, it's a real person, but they're hiding behind a fictitious account. Those things information. So it wasn't worth it at this time. There's been other years that I've taken a break from social media, and just around this time of year to kind of refocus, recalibrate, and spend more time with my family. So, okay. But it may be coming back. I'll let
Just
you know.
wait.
If I find a way to,
Way to find out what was.
yep, and I think if all of us had, and all had our own views or whatever, or you just look at, the sheriff, he's got a lot of engagement on his,
That's,
and he speaks for all of us, basically.
That's most of them.
1,000 commented on tax.
Lights are just like.
Oh,
Yep,
Please
if we
come
want,
talk to the supervisors, please talk to the.
anything out, we'll give it to Casey.
Yes.
Yep.
If you were here for the earlier meeting, a lot of the misinformation and disinformation that's out there can be addressed. And you can tell it 50 different ways and people are still going to say, well, I still don't agree with you raising our taxes. Well, we're certainly not doing that. So, you have to take that up with the other ones that are. People are going to believe what they want to believe and they're going to say what they want to say.
Okay, man.
Time to go.
All right, well, before the lights shut out. Any other public comments before we wrap up?
You guys doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comments weren't allowed before unless it was on an agenda item and the agendas were so vague, we couldn't figure out what they were talking about.
That is so much fun.
So anyway, we're not going back to those days, but there's no other business come before the board. We will be adjourned at 10:33. And what I thought would be a 10-minute.
Yes.
Before you guys.
Never cease to
I got
amaze me.
stuff going. I got stuff in.
Okay.
It's not a resume.